It was a night like any other in the quiet, affluent Chicago suburb of Palatine, Illinois. The air was the kind of biting January cold that drives people indoors. And at the Brown's Chicken and Pasta on Northwest Highway, the closing shift was winding down. But this night, January 8, 1993, would not end with the simple click of a lock and the hum of a neon sign. Instead, it would be marked by a silence far more chilling. A silence that would settle over the town and the entire nation, giving birth to a case so brutal, so baffling, and so long unsolved that it would forever be known as the Palatine Horror. 7 lives snuffed out in a matter of minutes, and the only witness was a piece of partially eaten chicken. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Coming soon to Substack. The victims were a cross-section of the community. At the heart of the restaurant were the owners, 50-year-old Richard Ellenfelt and his 49-year-old wife, Lynn. They were joined by 5 employees, 46-year-old Guadalupe Maldonado, 32-year-old Thomas Menz, 31-year-old Marcus Nelson, and 2 local high school students, 16-year-old Michael Castro and 17-year-old Rico Solis. As the clock ticked past 9 p.m., just before closing, 2 men entered the restaurant. This was not a typical robbery. It was an execution. The assailants, later identified as 18-year-old Juan Luna, a former employee, and his friend James Degorski, moved with chilling efficiency. They forced the 7 victims into 2 walk-in freezers. The violence was extreme and personal. All 7 were shot multiple times with a .38 caliber revolver. A total of 21 rounds discharged in the small space. In a horrifying detail, Lynn Ellenfelt's throat was slashed before she was shot, and Michael Castro was stabbed in the stomach after being shot. The motive was simple robbery, netting the killers a paltry sum of between $1,800 and $1,900. The killers attempted to erase their presence. They meticulously mopped up some of the blood, picked up the shell casings, and cut the power to the building. The restaurant's clock was found frozen at 9:52 p.m., a grim timestamp on the massacre. The bodies were left piled inside the freezers. The crime was discovered hours later, when the parents of Michael Castro and the wife of Guadalupe Maldonado, concerned that their loved ones had not returned home, called the police. The scene that greeted investigators was one of the most horrific in Illinois history. The sheer brutality and the number of victims in a quiet suburb shocked the nation. The case immediately went cold. For 9 long years, the Palatine Police Department and the Cook County Sheriff's Office pursued countless leads, but the trails seemed to vanish. The only physical evidence that would eventually crack the case was a small, partially eaten piece of chicken found in the trash. The breakthrough came in March 2002, when Ann Lockett, the former girlfriend of James Degorski, came forward. She implicated Degorski and Luna, telling police that Degorski had confessed the crime to her. This new information allowed investigators to revisit the cold case with modern technology. In a crucial development, DNA from the saliva on the discarded piece of chicken was matched to Juan Luna, a former employee who had been fired from the restaurant. Luna and Degorski were taken into custody in May 2002. Luna confessed to the crime during interrogation, though he later recanted, claiming coercion. Degorski also confessed, and an audio recording of his statement was played at his trial. The trials were separated. Juan Luna was found guilty on all 7 counts of murder in 2007 and sentenced to life in prison without parole. James Degorski was convicted in 2009, largely based on the testimony of Lockett and another woman to whom he had confessed, and he also received a sentence of life without parole. The Palatine Horror remains a dark chapter in American true crime, a stark reminder of how senseless violence can shatter a community. The Brown's Chicken restaurant was eventually demolished, replaced by a new building, but the memory of the 7 victims, Richard and Lynn Ellenfelt, Guadalupe Maldonado, Michael Castro, Rico Solis, Thomas Menz and Marcus Nelson, and the chilling events of January 8, 1993, will forever be etched into the calendar of crime. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.